Guys, what is going on? It's your boy Nate. Appreciate you tuning in. Today's topic is going to be on why bad men get good women. Now, I'm going to try to make this video quick, but guys, bear with me. So, the biggest reason why bad men get good women is because our perception of what bad and good is. Now, guys, I want to jump into why this is such a huge issue these days because one of my videos, I had a lot of comments about how once it comes down to it, women only want Chads and Tyrones, right? And the misconception out there is that Chads and Tyrones are just terrible, evil guys who just want to go around and bang every girl possible. Now, there are guys like that, don't get me wrong. There are guys who, they just don't care. They don't care if it's your wife, they don't care if it's your girlfriend, they don't care, if it's your buddy, if it's your buddy's girl, not your buddy, but your buddy's girl, right? They don't care who it is, right? They will go after any woman. They will go for anything. There are guys that's just what they're dead set on. They're really good with women and they just do it, right? Now, here's the issue with that, okay? The Chad and Tyrone, the whole concept is extremely subjective, okay? Every woman's going to have a different preference for this. I think what we're seeing, guys, especially with social media and isolated cases, right? But you kind of get an echo chamber after a while. You have a few guys who have gone through a bad experience and they're just straight up saying that, oh, Chad and Tyrone, basically those are the guys that get all the girls. It doesn't matter. The issue with that is most guys aren't going to go that route. Most guys can't go that route, okay? So those guys are going to be in a small minority anyway. But what I think the bigger issue here, guys, is our perception of good and bad, okay? What I mean by that is good versus bad, right? What does that look like? What is that really? Okay, so let's start with this idea of bad. A lot of times when you guys hear or see bad traits in a man, right? Those are just dominant masculine traits that you guys don't have. Straight up. I've dealt with it before. In a lot of ways, as a man, you're always going to deal with it. There's always going to be someone who is bigger, stronger, who is more intimidating in certain situations, who is higher up on the social hierarchy, the social ladder, whatever you want to call it, right? There's always going to be somebody above you at your job, your boss, your manager, right? There's always going to be people in power. But guys, there's always going to be people above them. And there's always going to be people who are bigger, stronger, have more money, have more resources than you or those guys, right? Now, what is going on here? What is this dynamic? Why does it seem like good women go for the bad guys? Why does it seem like women go for the guys who don't give a crap about them? One of the other misconceptions here, guys, is when you see these dudes, you think that they're just pure evil. Now, some of them are just straight up assholes. Some of them are just, straight up psychopaths who do not care, right? And you could say maybe it's on a spectrum with some people. Some people are more narcissistic. Some are more sociopathic, right? I hate to use those terms because they're so, again, subjective. But you get what I'm saying. Now, what happens is, guys, most guys who are bad, just, again, they end up being more masculine. So that means that they're not afraid to get what they want, right? They're not afraid to be direct with women. And I think one of the things I want to touch on here, guys, is when you guys think about being direct with women, it's not just you walk up to a woman and you're like, hey, I think you're hot, you want to bang, right? That's not how you approach women. Now, there are some guys who can do that in certain social situations who are able to do that, okay? I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying that a majority of the time that's not how it works. Also, guys who get a bunch of women, right, normally aren't complete assholes, at least not 100% of the time. Okay, a lot of these guys are actually very, at least on the surface, romantic, okay? They're charismatic, they're charming, all right? That's a better way to put it. So a lot of these guys know how women work. They know how the quote-unquote game works, okay? So guys, just as an example, just looking back on my life, looking back on dating and what I've learned and what I've gathered, right? One of the biggest things that I learned in dating was that when it comes to attracting a lot of women, you have to look the part of a masculine man, right? You have to carry yourself with the confidence. Having the charisma and the social awareness helps tremendously as well. But having the look, obviously, that's going to help you a lot. So investing into your looks I'm not saying looks maxing. I'm just saying work with what you got, right? Don't become hyper obsessed with your looks, but just work with what you got. Make sure that you're looking masculine, right? Stop wearing what everybody tells you to wear, what you think you should wear, just what makes you comfortable. Actually figure out what makes you feel confident. If you like wearing leather jackets, if you like wearing denim jackets, go for it, right? But looking back in my life, the times that I was most successful was when I was looking the part of a masculine dude, but I was also able to exude that romantic side, or what a lot of guys might consider the beta side, right? And I think a lot of guys overlook this, okay? They throw out the baby with the bathwater. They say that you can't be nice at all because women don't like nice guys. Well, guys, that's only a half truth, okay? Women do like kind, caring guys, believe it or not, okay? The women that you see who go for straight up psychopaths and like straight up assholes, guys, those are going to be very few and far between. You can't just 100% all the time be an asshole to a woman. You're going to push her away. Even if she really likes you, even if she loves you, eventually she will push you away. Eventually she's going to step out. Eventually she's going to find somebody else who gives her a little bit more of that sugar, right? Who gives her a little bit more of that softness. And years ago, I went down a rabbit hole with all this. I really don't like talking about ratios, but a lot of guys say you have to have like a 70% alpha, 30% beta. Make what you want of that, guys. Basically, the majority of the time, you have to be a man, but you have to be able to let your guard down, which means you have to be able to step back. You have to be able to take her out on a date, have a conversation. You have to be able to actually get into her mind. A lot of women want you to understand their minds, and that's what a lot of these guys have, guys. They have the ability to understand people. All right, a lot of these guys who you think are bad men, really, they're just really great salesmen. That's really all it is. People want to be understood. Women want to be understood and cared for. If you can let a woman know that she feels understood and cared for, if she's attracted to you, that's why you got to work on the physical attraction, and you got to work on your charm, the charisma, all that good stuff, right? The confidence. You start to realize that a lot of it, when people say be yourself, it's when you start being more masculine, when you start being more confident, that's when you're able to actually have these meaningful conversations with people because you don't care about the outcome. Here's what happens, guys. What you guys see when you see a bad guy who gets all the girls, you see a guy who probably says things that are against societal norms, right? He's not afraid to say things that are, off the cuff. He's not afraid to, kind of just throw things at the wall and see if they stick. He's not afraid to go outside of the lines, right? We have this weird notion, and it's probably because of media, because of movies and television, all that kind of thing. We have this weird idea that you should be a nice, caring gentleman 100% of the time. You shouldn't be threatening in any sense, right? And we've taken that word and we've ran with it, right? We're not supposed to be dominant. We're not supposed to be masculine. We're not supposed to have that, that warrior energy, so to speak. We're not supposed to have that masculine energy. But guys, that's exactly what women like. And that's what a lot of you probably realize that women like, that they actually enjoy that side, that they go for guys who do not give a crap. And what's frustrating, guys, a lot of times is you see those guys and that's who you want to be. Even if you're mad, even if you think that that's, I would never. Ultimately, that's who you want to be, because guys don't want to be living in this little box that society has said that they have to stay in, right? There's a reason that women go for the guys that society doesn't necessarily put up as the big dogs, or a better way to put this, guys, is like society is going to show what a man is through media, through television, through movies, right? Again, it's that nice Prince Charming type of guy. But in reality, we see the woman go for the guy who has a little bit darker, edgier, who is more in tune with himself, right? Knows what he wants and actually goes for what he wants, and who is just not afraid of the world, right? That's the biggest thing, because if you can portray that security, if you can portray that you're not afraid to take on the world to a woman, then that's most of the battle, guys. Now, women also want to know that you can. Now, here's where it gets tricky too. You see a lot of guys, they're broke, they get women. I made a video on that. But something I don't think I talked about too much was the fact that you have to have the appearance, you have to have, really it's the full, it's what I call the full package. You have to have that essence to you that you will be able to procure more resources, that you can provide better in the long term, right? And I guys, I swear by this. I've lived it. Other guys have lived it. A woman would much rather be with a good-looking, confident dude, right? A guy who invests into his clothing, his appearance, make sure that he's maximizing what he can, right, without being obsessed, which is the looks maxing, which I made a whole video on that and why I think it's garbage. But she'd rather have a confident dude who is going for what he wants, who looks the part, who is comfortably confident in what he wears, right? Who doesn't care what other people think about him. I don't care if it's plaid shirts. I don't care if it's leather jackets, guys. Wear what makes you comfortably confident. Wear what makes you feel like a man. Women will go for you. Women will flock to you. Obviously, you living out your purpose, actually going places, doing things you want to do, that's going to attract those women into your life. It's going to make it a lot easier, being more social around more people. That's going to help a lot. But she'd rather be with that dude than the guy who is just 100, making 150K a year, who sits in an office, doing the 9-to-5 thing, who's fat, out of shape, doesn't care about his appearance, doesn't know how to talk, doesn't know how to be social, right? That's a lot of guys these days. For one reason or another, they bought into the, I'm just going to make money because that's all that women want. Guys, I'm gonna leave you a little something here. I'm going to make a video on this. At the end of the day, women want three things, okay? They want your time and attention, which are both linked, right? They want to be able to have a connection with you, believe it or not, right? Again, these bad guys, they're really good at getting connections. Again, they're expert salesmen, okay? They're really good at making those connections. And she wants to have that, right? She wants to be, if a woman likes you guys, she wants to be around you. She wants to be around that. She wants to be around your character. She wants to be around that connection. That's something that, you understand her in a way that nobody else does, right? You know things about her no one else does. You are able to, do new things with her, take her out, right? That she's never done. She wants that connection, that sort of like romantic experience, so to speak, right? And then obviously women will want resources. They'll want some sort of, money, finances. And guys, most of the time, if you have two of those three, you're going to be good. I would say the best two to have are going to be, well, it depends on what stage of life you're at, right? But the best two that you can have are really going to be the personality traits, right? The charm and everything, that connection with women, and then the money. That's going to help you tremendously. The time, right? That's going to be a lot tougher, especially if you're young, you're on your grind. Time is probably the easiest one to scale back on, but this is why you have a lot of conflicting information on, well, my girlfriend in the past, or maybe a girl I'm with, all she wants to do is spend all this time with me, right? Well, it's because she sees you as a viable option. She sees you as someone she has a connection with, who she thinks that you either have resources or you can procure, that you can, in the future, you are someone who can rise to that occasion to get those resources. Okay, so if women see that potential, guys, it doesn't matter if it's there or not. If they see the potential, they're going to want to be with you. Okay, but there are women who are clingy, and yeah, you can keep those women, guys. There's happy relationships out there, but those are the women, those are the guys and the gals. Basically, they got to see each other every single day, right? Those women, there's a pretty high possibility, even though they might be obsessed with you, they just need that attention, and so they'll step out on you if they don't have that almost daily attention. That's why I'd say if you're in the military, if you're in some sort of civil job where you can be away for, long hours, if you're somebody who just lives a lifestyle where you're traveling a lot, you probably don't want to get long-term with that woman, just saying, okay? But that's a whole other video, right? Because we're focusing on why the bad men get the good women. So most of the bad men, guys, they just have those traits. They're able to basically be somebody that most people aren't. Now, this isn't to excuse the psychopaths. This isn't to excuse crappy behavior, right? I'm not saying you should go around and start, stomping on people's necks, climbing up, people's backs to get to where you want to go. I don't believe in that. Every man for himself, tribalism mentality, okay? That's how society falls. If all that men and all that society focuses on and all that we look at as important is money, power, and status, our civilization, everything good that we know is going to fall. And we're starting to see that crumble because that's all that people seem to care about these days, right? A lot of women are going that way too, right? Because instinctually that is attractive, but long term, it's not going to be sustainable, okay? So the bad men are doing things that the good men don't want to do. And what I mean by good men, let me touch on that, because when I say good, I really mean nice. By nice, I mean a pushover. By nice, I mean complacent. By nice, I mean just wants to please everybody and check the boxes and just do the bare minimum, right? Those are the guys that think that if they just follow this formula, that they'll get what they want. And they'll have mild success. They'll have a sense of success and stability. In fact, they might be able to attract women who also want stability, right? Like, they might be able to attract women, but they might be a little bit older, right? They might have a lot of emotional baggage. And I'm not saying a woman who's been through a lot, who has emotional baggage, is used goods, right? We have this weird mentality. We have this weird thing out there that says women are just, if they have a certain amount of body. I don't believe in all that, right? If a woman has done the work on herself, if she is acting, if she is a new person, truthfully, right? That could be religious, right? That could be coming to Christ. If she's totally just turned around, her life and stuff, that is possible, guys. But the issue is it's very rare. Like, in reality, it's very rare. And people who have maybe been through things, experienced things, they're more likely to fall back into those ways unless you have seen a long track record, so to speak, of that change. And I am a firm believer in if you want to have a woman who has been through that kind of life, you shouldn't have really any inkling of it, right? Her social media shouldn't show it. The way she talks shouldn't show it. For the most part, right, people that she's associating herself with, there shouldn't be this talk that she's some, closet hoe or something like that, right? It should be like, you really shouldn't be able to tell unless she comes clean and tells you stuff, right? And then at that point, you do with it what you may. It just depends on the person. But guys, bad men create those type of women, all right? And what I mean by bad, like truly bad, is men who are just using women, right? If you're going around being a salesman, right? If you're going around being a player, we have this weird thing where we're looking up to those type of men, guys. We really shouldn't be. Now, it's one thing to be able to attract a lot of women. It's one thing to be able to flirt with a lot of women, to be able to possibly, date a lot of women. But guys, there's a couple things that long-term, all right, and this is just me kind of, having some experience, seeing a lot of my friends, hearing from a lot of friends, right, that it's not necessarily a good thing to sleep around with a bunch of women, okay? It's not a good thing to see how many women you can get with, because you start chasing the wrong type of things, okay? And then you end up jaded, and then you start going, why did I do that? Because if anything, if I'm not going to be committed to that woman, I basically just used her, right? And women are people too. It's hard to believe. I know we live in this weird society where we're starting to look down on women and kind of kick them to the curb. And, we're guys, if we don't watch it, we're going to swing too far the other direction. I do think a lot of things need to be changed, but we have to be careful, okay? That being said, I don't recommend being a player. I don't recommend going out there and being a bad man on purpose. I don't recommend going out there lying to women, talking about, commitment and how you could see being together with them, because a lot of women will fall for that. And guys, that's what bad men do. Straight up. That is what bad men do. In fact, I hate to say this, all right? I really hate to say this, but this is how you date women, right? This is how you can actually this is how you can talk to a bunch of women, okay? First of all, be attractive, right? Just be attractive, be as attractive as possible. You're not going to get every single woman, but if you invest into your looks and you're comfortably confident in who you are, then you're going to attract a lot of women, right? That's just the name of the game. Not everybody, not all the girls, but you're going to attract a lot. Also, be confident. Being confident is a huge thing. Being socially aware, knowing how to talk to people, that's going to be huge as well. But Let's say that you're able to do that. Let's say you're able to, get matches on dating apps. Let's say you're able to talk to girls in person. Let's say you're able to hold conversations. You're able to actually hold interesting conversations, right? Once you know you've piqued her curiosity, a lot of you guys think a woman's just going to hop on you and go, take me away. Let's go date. Do you think she's just going to blow up your phone? Most women aren't going to do that. Most women want to be pursued. Most women think that most guys are wasting their time. A lot of women think that if you talk to them for too long for just really no reason, that, especially if you're just texting, you need to be asking a woman out on a date. If you're just going to talk, unless you're just going to be friends, right? If you're going to be talking to a woman, if you're going to be getting to know her, guys, within, I would say 3 days, tops. Maybe a week, depending on the situation, but I would say within 3 days, you need to get her on a date. You need to ask her out. You need to escalate to the point where you're like, hey, let's go get coffee on Friday, or let's go get a bite to eat at this place. Let's go get some tacos. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but let's go do this. Let's go do this quick, cheap little fun activity or something, right? Go do that. Go get to know them. If they flake on you, oh well, right? Because you're a man. You have a bunch of other girls that you're talking to. That's not a bad thing. Don't let this world tell you only have to have one girl that you're talking to. If you're committed to her and she's a girlfriend, that's a different story. But you can date multiple women. You can talk to multiple women. In fact, I would advise it. All right? It's going to help you to understand women. It's going to help you to not be so stuck on one woman, okay? But that's what these bad men do, guys. Like, that's what these bad guys do. They're really not bad on the surface, okay? It's just what you do with it, all right? Here's what you do. You talk to the women. You go out. You date them. You talk about life. You don't do this weird, crazy stuff that everybody talks about where you don't talk about anything serious. No, that's what the bad guys are doing. Bad guys are talking about deep, important stuff the first time they talk to a girl. Yeah, it might be kind of, off the wall. It might be kind of what they want to talk about. Guys, if you hear dudes who get women, they know how to talk to women. They know how to smooth talk women. They know how to, you kind of talk about relationships. You talk about kids and family in a subtle way, right? You don't want to jump out of the gate asking, so how many kids do you want? But you want to start talking about things, right? Make things interesting, make them fun. Make her start thinking about a future, right? Start talking about your life a little bit. Ask her a lot of questions too, right? She should be doing most of the talking. Women love to talk. They love to be heard, all right? She wants to feel cared for. She wants to feel listened to. A lot of guys, they overcompensate. They get nervous. They start talking too much when they're around a woman, especially on the first couple dates, and then they don't get another date, right? What you want to do, you want to just be your confident self. You want to treat it almost like a job interview. You want to treat it like you want to know this super interesting candidate, right? You want to know everything about them. You want to know everything they bring to the table. You want to know everything you can about their life. They might not spill their deepest, darkest secrets on the first date. In fact, I would advise you, if they do, you should probably run. But if you talk openly, if you talk in a deep fashion, if you talk about deep things, guys, you will get somewhere. Like, that girl's going to start thinking about you like, whoa, we just talked about all the forbidden things, right? We just talked about politics, right? You don't have to talk about, like, who you think should have won the presidency, although you could, right? But you can make it interesting. You can be like, man, these crazy, voting, incidents that happened, right? Like, man, I can't believe that. And you kind of get to feel what they say, right? And you get to see where they're coming from. Guys, if you talk a little bit, you ask these open-ended questions, women will just tell you things, right? Especially really quiet girls. Like, all of a sudden they'll just open up and they'll just tell you everything. But what happens is these guys, right? These guys appear as nice guys at first, right? That's why a lot of women, well, I say a lot of women who have been with a lot of guys or who have dated a lot of guys, that's why they tend to start going for the guys who are actually bad men, who are actually way more out there in bad ways. I'm talking like straight up, like thug life, straight up, treating them bad, straight up, because what happens is they end up getting with a lot of dudes who are, really just what I would call snakes, right? Like players, just straight up players. And what happens is they get this connection, they get the butterflies, it feels like romantic, like right out of a movie, and then they sleep with him, then they never hear from him again, and then they're like, what the heck? And then what happens is their mind starts to get used to it, and then they start to go, well, that doesn't work, that's not right. And so then they go for the really extreme guys, right, who are going to cut out a lot of the ooey gooey stuff up front and just basically whatever. And that's a cycle, guys. Like, those women, that's why a lot of guys say, like, those women are broken. Okay, if you see a woman who's dating like genuinely a bunch of bad dudes, don't feel like you have to be a bad dude. Don't feel like you have to be like an actual bad person to get women. Okay, those women are going to go for those guys. All right, they have the trauma, they have whatever's going on, they're going to go for it because of, you know, XYZ. All right, and they're not going to be good reasons. But what you can focus on is you can focus on being a man. You can focus on doing what you have to do. All right. And then you will start to garner a lot of attention. You will start to actually have women start talking about you, start wanting to, like, if you go out on these dates, guys, I promise you, if you go out on these dates, you have a really good first date where you have a really good conversation, you have a fun time, you're playful, you're just who you are, right? You're not being too nice, right? But you're being respectful. You're not being a total jerk, but you're pushing the buttons a little bit, right? These women will text you after. These women will call you after. They will feel comfortable with you, because a lot of women just want to be themselves, guys. Women are people too. We put them up on this pedestal and we're like, oh, they're so precious and so fragile. Guys, women poop too, okay? It is what it is, right? Like, we're all human, okay? Women like to make jokes about dirty stuff, believe it or not, right? Women like to talk in crude ways, right? Women like when things aren't so like robotic and so, you know, so structured, right? They want to feel free. They want to feel like you have that edge to you, okay? That's why they go for the quote unquote bad men, right? So you got to reframe what you think of as bad and good. You got to reframe that whole dynamic, okay? Right? Just don't be an evil person. It's very simple. Don't use people. Don't lie to people, right? Make your intentions clear, right? If you're not looking for something long-term, say, hey, I really can't see doing anything long-term right now because of, you know, my job or something, but, you know, that'll be something I'd be open to down the road. Or be like, hey, you know, ultimately I'm looking for a wife. These are the traits that I'm looking for, right? You can talk about those things, guys. Women love that, believe it or not. So, guys, I hope that helps. I hope that helps you figure out a little bit more on what women are going for, okay? It's not they're going for bad men. If they are, they're actually broken. They're actually, you know, they're at a place in their life where it's not that great, and they gotta, you know, if they ever want to get out of that, they got to do the work. They got to, you know, basically say no, and they got to do the work. They got to take a step back and really, you know, pump the brakes, and they got to do a whole makeover, okay? Because these guys that they're initially dating, right, have basically lied to them and screwed them over. So just don't be that guy. Be upfront, okay? If a woman asks, if you're with a woman, right, again, I don't really advocate sleeping around with a bunch of women, right? But if you get intimate with a woman, right, and she starts asking you, like, what are we, you know, you don't have to lie to her and be like, oh, like, you're my girlfriend, or when she's not, right? You don't have to be like that. You don't have to lie. Trust me, guys, you don't have to lie. In fact, women appreciate when you're upfront with them. Some women aren't going to stick around. That's just facts, okay? But some women are going to be like, okay, you know, like, you're not ready to settle down. You're not ready to be like a committed thing. Okay, I get that. And she'll either pull away from you, or she'll want to be with you even more, right? She'll want to be involved in your life more. She'll want to actually assist you in your life. So don't think that just by pushing women away, being a total asshole and a jerk to women, that's going to all of a sudden reel them in, right? Don't fall for that trap, guys. If you do end up getting women being that kind of dude, you're going to quickly find out that they are a whole other can of crazy. So, guys, if you have any experiences, if you have any comments, let me know below. But until the next one, I'll see you.